Hey, my name's Keith Harold. I'm an attorney at the firm of Pusatier, Sherman, Abbott, and Sugarman. Started with the firm in 1987 as a law clerk, and then upon graduating law school and passing the bar, I continued on working. Primarily real estate law. I also do estate and wills, also a little bit of criminal work. I would say through the years I'm the one that's done most of the real estate here. Well, normally what we practice in is a residential real estate area, which essentially is people buying a home. Many first-time home buyers and also people that are buying and selling a house. They've had their first home and they're moving up to a bigger house, or people just selling and retiring or leaving the area. So, you know, it kind of runs the whole gamut of residential. Well, I think the best example would be to take a purchaser, first-time home buyer. What we have, at least in Erie County, through the Real Estate Committee of the Bar Association and also the realtors, we've developed a residential real estate contract that calls for attorney approval within so many days of 3 days from when you receive a completely signed contract. The first step we usually do is review the contract with the client in that attorney approval period to make sure that there's something that they didn't think about or overlooked, and kind of go through, and if they feel comfortable, then we go ahead and send in our approval. With a first-time purchaser, you know, more than likely they're going to be getting a mortgage, so one of the things we do is to help kind of coordinate that end too. And have to make sure when they get their commitment that there be a number of conditions. A lot of it would be boilerplate. It would just, everybody's commitment's going to look about the same, but then there's going to be an extra page on the end, and that's going to have the one where you look and say, oh boy, there's 20 things I have to submit or do. So that's where we really pay attention and say, okay, have you done these things? Like you have to give them a copy of last year's tax return, or you have to explain a delinquency in paying a bill late. And that we're finding now with the change in mortgage lending practices and the tightening of it, that they're very particular about those things, and a lot of delays now aren't really caused by not getting updated searches and surveys, but because things are still in underwriting. And I've always kind of wondered where that mysterious area is with a lender, but it's somewhere, and it's somebody looking at all the papers, and until they say this can go, you're at their mercy. And again, with the way they've really become more stringent on lending, they're looking at things a lot closer than they ever did before, and unfortunately it seems like it can change on a weekly basis. So that is becoming a little bit more frustrating to some people now in the mortgage that are buying a house for the first time. But we've been getting them closed. It just sometimes takes a little bit. When I get to a point where I've done everything I'm supposed to do as a purchaser, I've ordered the title insurance, I've done a title exam, I've made sure that all the property taxes are paid, made sure that any local ordinance, like in the town of Tonawanda and Kenmore, we have an ordinance that a sump pump has to be installed or at least inspected. If it is installed, it's got to be re-inspected after a period of time before the property can be sold. So we got to make sure that's been done. That's usually at the seller's expense, but it's one of the pieces of paper you have to get to that point where they're going to say, okay, we can get it closed. So, we kind of coordinate and do all that, and again, making sure that the people are doing what they have to do on their specific conditions in their commitment so that they don't miss their expiration point. The way things have been now, 15 years ago when rates were different and very volatile and high, it was costly to miss your commitment date. Things are a little bit lighter on that now because the mortgage rates are down so much. Many years experience in residential closings, both sales and purchase, and I think that we would do a good job for you if you chose to use us.